Morning, everybody. I am Tvisha Singhal, and I'm a part of the 2021 Summer Cohort with the Individual Research Program offered by Lumiere. I just want to give a huge shout out to the entire Lumiere team for being so amazing and helping us power through these 12 weeks. I know it's not been easy, but you guys have made it as seamless as possible. Thank you so much. Also, a huge shout out to everybody's writing and project mentors. You guys have really helped all of us get through it. In particular, I want to thank my research mentor, Ms. Anne Johnson. She has helped me right from choosing a research question to submitting my final draft. I would not have been able to do this without her. All right, so let me start by introducing my research question, which was, what are the most effective methods for controlling the transmission of interspecies influenza in high contact spaces in India? I wanted to conduct research on the medicine and public health field in India because it has such widespread application today with the pandemic, etc. But I also wanted to look at sort of an interrelation between animal species and humans and how that comes together and how growing interdependence and changes in trends over the past years have led to changes in the healthcare industry, which really interested me. And I think this topic really did justice to where I wanted to go with my research. So let me kind of get into it and give you somewhat of a background of what my research was about. So influenza has been a huge problem in India for the past 150 years. It has spread through multiple species, whether that be birds, whales, humans. It has had one of the highest morbidity and mortality rates, which are seen in epidemic diseases in general. And it has been a consistent problem. It was not a one-off issue. It's been consistently there for the past couple of decades, and all the different variants have made it really difficult for the healthcare industry to sort of come with a one-size-fits-all solution to it. So for the beginning of my research, I had to identify 3 overlying themes, which were travel, tourism, and trade, which is what affect influenza spread the most. After I identified these, it definitely got a lot easier for me to conduct more research and find more research papers, which were region specific. That includes Maharashtra, Delhi, Gujarat, Punjab, Rajasthan, which have the highest mortality rate of influenza throughout the 2010s. So the methods that I used for my research paper were a systematic meta-analysis approach. Now, I know that sounds like a mouthful, but it's just sort of the approach of writing a literature review. There has been a huge amount of data that is present, right? But it's very important for research to be able to formulate that data correctly and present a way forward for future research. And that is what my research paper tried to do. What I tried to make sure of was that I am able to identify common trends among various papers, and compare them with each other, and also formulate a conclusion of what might work for India in the broader context. So most of the papers or the trials for vaccines, etc., were only done in very specific regions in India, or very good control methods had been identified in countries outside of India, but who had very similar climate or very similar population structure as India does. So what my research tried to do was bring them all together and formulate which control methods are the most effective. Poultry vaccinations, to put it very simply, is just vaccination of animal species and bird species in India, which has not been done even once by now. But what all my research consistently showed is that there is an immediate need for poultry vaccination to take place in India. And that's definitely something that future research should be able to look into. It was shown that out of the 11 countries which were identified as at high risk for influenza, India was the only one which hadn't been able to implement vaccination for poultry yet. Then the next thing we identified was that region-specific cleanliness, especially in high contact spaces such as bird markets or animal farms or backyard poultry, is not prevalent. Virus shedding is a huge problem. A very easy way to prevent that is to identify cleanliness measures that work for specific regions. The third very important category that we found was cultural acceptance of vaccinations among human communities, as well as seasonality. The season that you give the vaccine in will have an effect on how effective the vaccine is. The last and very controversial finding of my paper was that, is culling a boon or a bane? Culling is nothing but mass killing or putting animal species down in order to stop the spread of influenza. Mass culling is practiced in a lot of regions in India currently, and with good reason, but it is definitely surrounded by a huge amount of ethical concern. So there has to be a better way or a better system in place, which a lot of research papers recognized. The agricultural industry of India is so heavily dependent on farming and poultry that the bad might outweigh the good. And so it's very, very important to find more alternatives to culling or just put a better system in place. And poultry vaccination, again, can play a huge role in that, because culling overall was identified as a regressive control method. It has been implemented in the past and it has proven to be effective in controlling influenza, but it has so many other effects, on the country and the overall economy and the biodiversity. These were my 4 findings, and I hope that it inspired you or taught you something new about something as common as the flu. And I hope that I was able to do justice to the symposium. Thank you, everybody, for being such a great audience.